What's good, people? Hope you're well. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the show. Sorry, we're a little bit late. Had some technical problems, but they're all sorted now. Hope that you are all enjoying your week, and I hope you're looking forward to the weekend. Which, to be fair, I don't know about you guys, but it's absolutely flown by for me. Literally Monday night, I was doing a show thinking, oh, we've got a long week ahead, and we're nearly at the end of it. It's absolutely crazy, but there we go. Big up the panel, big up D, big up Sam, big up Dave, and we are supposed to have Natalie joining us. I'm not sure if she's going to. Matty did say he might jump in. Got a few people tonight that are up for it, but we'll see how we get on. Let's start with the Carabao Cup, shall we? The reaction from that. I know it doesn't involve everybody on this panel, and some people won't want to talk about it without mentioning any names, Dave or D, but we are going to talk about it. I want to ask you, first of all, how much this trophy means, because I've had a big debate for the last, what feels like forever, but certainly over the last couple of days, about why it's important for Arsenal to take a trophy like this seriously this season. It's one we haven't won as an Arsenal fan for 30 years. It's a trophy that I think is something which can bring momentum, and it's the first thing that you can win. And if you can prove that you can win it, that gives you the confidence throughout the rest of the season, as Chelsea and Manchester City have found in the last decade, who are two teams that have just won it, throughout the last few years. Now, when there's a situation of last night where Manchester City go out, a few ears perk up and go, oh, okay, I'll take this now. And I'm not saying that Bournemouth, for example, won't look, or maybe Blackburn or even Chelsea, and go, this is ours now. But they're going to look at Liverpool, they're going to look at Arsenal, they're going to look at Newcastle still. But Liverpool, Arsenal and Newcastle are now going to go, okay, this might now change for us. We might now have to actually play a stronger team because Manchester City, who are the favourites, are now out. So I wanted to ask you the importance of this trophy. D, I'll start with you. I know that you were coming on to Palace in a minute, but just the trophy as a whole, what does it mean, do you think, to win this trophy if you're a club the stature of, say, Arsenal? Because there's a lot of debate about, it's way too big for us. It's not, we're too way big for the trophy. We got bigger fish to fry, all this rubbish. Actually gets me really annoyed because I want to win trophies, man. So where do you stand with this one, D?
You do, but then again, if Arteta won this trophy alone this year, I know what the talking point will be. Oh, they just won the Carabao Cup. And a lot of Arsenal fans, I don't know about you, but I don't know if just winning the Carabao Cup is enough. Then again, if you're a club like Arsenal, if you're a club like, let's say, Tottenham, funny enough, they're not in it. And, teams like that, who Newcastle as well, who want to ideally win a trophy, regardless of what trophy it is, you can't lose out winning trophy. Now, there's pros and cons towards it. Maybe if you still win a Carabao Cup, you got a Champions League, you got a Premier League, you got a Carabao Cup. Have you got the squad enough for it? If you got a squad depth that's there, why wouldn't you go and want to win a trophy? You can't get tired of winning trophies. I think that's a false narrative. But for Arsenal, I think it's more than just a Carabao Cup. I think if Arsenal won the Carabao Cup, the fans will view it as a bare minimum. I don't think here that Arsenal fans will be happy with just a Carabao Cup this year based on what happened last season. So it's a trophy that you should go and win, but I don't think it'll be enough.
Well, let me ask you, D, just stay with you quick, because I understand what you're saying there. Would it be enough? That's a completely different question. Would it be enough for a good season? But surely it shouldn't mean that we should not take it seriously, because let me give you a scenario. If Arsenal finish in the top four this season but miss out on the title, people are going to go, fair enough, Man City is so good. But is that going to be perhaps like Manchester United did? Oh, at least they won something, though. So, for example, if Arsenal win... Go on, bro.
Man United have a better season than Arsenal last year, then?
Yeah, I thought they did, because they lifted something and we didn't. That's just me, though. But I grew up on trophies. I didn't grow up on top four, get in, fourth place. Yes. I grew up in mourning coming out of Highbury because we come second, bro. So, like, I never, ever started celebrating running around roundabouts because Man United won the league and we come second. And we could wave at everyone else in third, fourth and below. I was gutted when we come second, mate. And, like, when we come fifth and Tottenham come fourth, they were running around roundabouts and doing celebrations and creating DVDs about it. I was like, hang on a minute. This is not a celebration for me. This is an absolute disgrace to come. And the stature of Arsenal, listen, if Forest or Bournemouth or Palace or Luton come fourth in the Premier League, absolutely fair play to you, right? Dreamland. But Arsenal, aren't we supposed to knock the stadium down to compete at the very top? So why are we now coming fourth and celebrating it? So for me, 100%, a trophy is a successful season. I don't care what trophy it is, yeah? For me, it's got to be one of those four that you're competing in. If you're throwing trophies away because you've got bigger fish to fry and you go and try and win a title and you fail that title, how's that a great season?
But it's not just the
So
title though.
that's
With
where I'm at.
Arsenal, this it's different this year, Potts. With Arsenal, you got the Champions League, so it's about prioritizing what you can do with the squad that you have. Because let's be honest, there are a few injuries that's popping up. You don't want to, play your strongest 11 and have a few more injuries. And it's about and literally, it's about what you want to achieve. I don't think Arteta will be looking at the Carabao Cup and saying we don't want to win the Carabao Cup. Yesterday, you fielded. You had a rotated squad, but it was still a strong enough squad to go out there and get the job done, which you did do. But then down the line, let's say in a few months' time, when you have Champions League games coming up, maybe you have knockout games as well. Then when you have that on top of the league and the Carabao Cup, and you might have a few injuries, then naturally you'll prioritize the Champions League more. Right now, yes, focus on the Carabao Cup because, you can take a game at a time, and the Champions League, you won your first group game as well in Champions League, so it's all well there. But down the line, when you have the option of the Premier League, the Champions League, I think the Premier League this is going to be City. But I think for Arsenal, realistically, the Champions League, funny enough saying, if they have a favorable draw, then they could go far in the Champions League, depending on the draw. And Champions League is a higher caliber of a competition than a Carabao Cup. So it really depends on your situation by the game and by the round. And in this game, you fielded a strong, relatively strong 11 with a rotated squad. Against Brentford, you got the job done, and we'll see what happens at the West Ham game. If in a West Ham game you've got a few more injuries, and then you don't want to play some of these, starting 11 plays that you have played, then that makes total sense as well. Because end of the day, the Premier League and the Champions League matters more. It's just the context. If you have injuries, then rotate the squad. If you don't, then go for it.
Yeah, I think it's fair, Sam. I'll come to you on this point because I think the Carabao Cup is definitely looked at and viewed at as a bit meh if you win it now.
Yeah.
And I think it depends who wins it is a good shout. If it's somebody like, was it Swansea that won it a few years ago under Michael Laudrup, it was like, wow. But when Man United win it under Ten Hag, it's like, well, it's only a crappy cup. I've never really seen any trophy as a crappy cup, really. One that has history anyway. And I remember growing up supporting Arsenal winning. And in 1993, we won the Cups against Sheffield Wednesday. And that's the first one that I remember celebrating. So I'm never going to now go, I don't really want to be in that. And I was on AFTV last night having a debate with Robbie about it. And Robbie was like, look, I'd rather beat Bournemouth. If we have to go out tonight, we go out tonight. Just beat Bournemouth. And I disagreed with it. It's not because I want to lose to Bournemouth. But if I can only win one, I'd rather stay in a trophy and lose a league that we've got another 30-odd games to play to try and catch up with. A trophy, you're out, man. There's no coming back. You're done. So for me, it's about winning trophies. Football always has been. I don't really understand why some of the lower division clubs have never gone all for it. I look at some of the teams, like some of the teams on this panel, Spurs, putting out reserve players for these games. What else you got to win? What else are you actually trying to win? Tottenham, they're not going to get relegated. Their league form is not going to be affected by winning a Carabao Cup. We get bantered every year by not winning a trophy, and they're putting reserves out against Fulham. What's going on? It's mad for me. I just cannot get my head around it, Sam.
I think for a team like Bournemouth, for a team like our size, when Eddie Howe was manager, took us to the Premier League, Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, it was the last of our priorities, sadly, but we would have rather had points in the Premier League. And quite opposite to you, I would have rather gone out a cup last night to Stoke City if it means that we get 3 points on Saturday against you. That's just the way it is, because for a team, like Arsenal, you'll always be competing, you'll always be there or thereabouts. For a team like Bournemouth, we haven't really got that safety blanket. We're not in any kind of comfort zone. We need to win every single Premier League match. So if I had the choice, I'd go for that. But I think you can understand it. The smaller a club you are, you maybe understand why Premier League always will get priority. Therefore, you are putting your youth team out, or you're maybe putting your reserves in there because you don't want your star players to get injured. That's what we did quite often under Eddie, under Scott Parker. But sometimes it would be the case that the team and the group just loses momentum when we do inevitably get knocked out the cup. I remember under Eddie, we were doing all right. We were doing okay. It came to the third round of the FA Cup, had Millwall away. We got battered 3-0. And most of us were thinking, well, that's okay because it's the FA Cup. We don't really care. We're not going to win it. But that form then continued throughout the rest of January. So that's always the concern. And under our new manager, Iraola, I think he does like to take these competitions fairly seriously. But we've got a problem even last night now. Dom Solanke comes on, changes the game, scores. And now he's a doubt for Saturday because he was pulling up with an ankle injury. And would we want him in the team for Saturday? Absolutely, because we can't function without him pretty much. I wouldn't say we're a one-man team, but he's so integral to how we play. So we're in a situation now where we're praying and hoping that he's going to be okay. So yeah, for me, your cups still aren't a priority because we're not an established Premier League team. When I think we're a team that can maybe finish, I don't know, 12th or 13th each and every season, then I'll start to look at the cups a little bit differently. But for me, it's still the league.
Listen, Sam, you basically agreed with my point because, with no disrespect, Bournemouth are not in the position of Arsenal. So Bournemouth want to stay in the league, so they're not going to go all out for the cups. Do you know what I mean? But it seemed like let's give you some examples: Fulham, West Ham, Palace, Brentford. They've got to go out all for these cups, in my opinion, because they ain't going to get down. They ain't going to go down.
The 10-point trophy.
Well, yeah, I mean, Palace don't win trophies.
We're waiting for the FA Cup. We're waiting for the FA Cup. Honestly, I'd love us to. I'd love us
all out for it, man.
What's the purpose? What's the purpose of being a fan or being a football fan? Of course, to support your team, but at the end of the day, you want to achieve something. You want to, win a trophy. You want to qualify for them European places as well. And for clubs that, I think Sam made a very good point there, and I think everyone can agree, there are certain teams that are in the Premier League who their main focus may be just to survive. And getting a point against Arsenal will be bigger for Bournemouth than getting a result 100%. Against Stoke, for example. But for teams like Palace right now, without getting too ahead of myself, I don't think we will get relegated. Of course, crazy things can happen, but I feel like we have an enough, decent enough squad to stay up in the league. So what's the next objective? To have a good cup run, to give the fans something to look forward to this season. And, when we have the results that we have against Manchester United, not just a result, just the whole performance, it makes you think like, what's the point? What's the point? Because, what are you in this game for? As a fan, I want to see my team succeed, progress. And yeah, when you don't take cup competition seriously, you're just thinking, well, are the owners just thinking about, and the management team, don't they have much ambition? Are they just thinking about survival every single year? That's a bit boring as a fan. You don't want to survive every year. But then again, if you are, a club like Bournemouth, you want to become established. We've been in the Premier League for 10 years. Then that's a different case. But for teams like even Palace, I don't think Fulham are on the same level as Palace in this conversation as well, because Fulham went down, they got promoted again. And there's, they were established before, but now they're still trying to find a way through. I think teams like Palace, West Ham, for example, I think we're in the same bracket there. You have to take these cup competitions seriously. You have to go for trophies. You have to give, a bit of something to look forward to for your fans. And unfortunately for us, we just don't do it. Or we haven't done it. We have an FA Cup. We went to FA Cup final, semi-final as well. But in the Carabao Cup, it's just always been poor. And I think it's down on the manager and also the ownership as well.
Yeah, man. I was always very surprised. I actually fancied Palace to put up a bit of a fight, but it didn't see it happen. Natalie, let's come to you. You're still in the competition, but you're in a situation, I suppose, where you're not confident. Well, you should be confident. I suppose that's the wrong word, but you're not guaranteed to be in the Premier League next season. So where
not
do you look?
Not confident either. You were right first time.
There we go. I was being polite. Where do we go? Where do you look at this competition? Because a lot of teams, that we were just saying, are saying, "Oh, I'm safe. Why don't we go for it?" Sam, rightly so, says, "Listen, I'd rather take points in the league than stay in the cup for where we're at." Where do you stand on this?
I think professional athletes should go into every game with a mentality that they want to win the game, because regardless of whether it's a league or it's a cup or it's West Ham in Europe last season that nobody else wanted, when you go into every game with that mindset that you want to win cups and you want to win survival and you want to win a game, it breeds that winning mentality within the squad. And I think that's really important. I think it's dangerous as a group of players when you start pick and choosing the games that you can get up for and the games that you are winnable games, because then you start falling out and you've got a lack of consistency, and it gives the players a chance to have an off day, an excuse to have an off day, to go into the League Cup and go, I don't really need to try tonight because it doesn't really matter if we get beat, we'll just concentrate on the league. Well, how do you mentally pick and choose that? So I'm a fan of that. I also don't know why you can't have both. We are a side that have just come up from the Championship, and you play a phenomenal amount of games. And guess what? Professional footballers in the Football League play loads of games every single season, and they're absolutely fine. The leg doesn't drop off. They don't. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's absolutely fine. There seems to be an excuse that has been bred in the Premier League that too many games, we need to protect these players.
Man. Great point.
Yeah, it's
Great
like,
point.
why? It's like the Premier League's the only game that whinge about the amount of leagues that they've got to play. So for Burnley, this group of players at Burnley have got who are all in their early 20s and can run around forever, who literally are set up from a nutritional and from a fitness perspective to be at physical peak. They can absolutely manage 38 Premier League games plus a League Cup plus an FA Cup. Absolutely fine. So why do we have to pick and choose? It seems a nonsense to me. I want it all.
Yeah, man, I want it all. I've always wanted it all. I think we should listen. In seriousness, I think you're absolutely spot on there. I didn't even think of that. The Championship have a lot more games than the Premier League anyway. So if you're asking a team that's just completed the Championship to come up and play the same amount of games again, fair play. Now, listen, I understand it's a different elite level in the Premier League, and going to Stamford Bridge is different to going to Doncaster. I get it, right? But at the same time, yeah, you're absolutely spot on with that. Let's stick with Burnley because I know you don't have long with us tonight.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Honestly, it's calm. I know that Dave spoke last week for you, really, in relation to the situation where Burnley were kind of robbed with the Sander Berge handball.
I'm not over that yet.
I bet you're not over that. How have you found things?
That was a knight in shining armour, Nat.
Thanks, Dave. You know me. You and me like this already, and I love it. Sorry, go on, Dan. Say that again.
No, it's fine. I was going to ask you how you found things because there's a lot of people I know neutrally that don't support Burnley. That all had Burnley to finish sort of some 12th, some 16th, and then there's a few that have said I think they'll struggle. And I've kind of been a bit mix and match, to be fair, at the moment with Burnley because I've seen some nice play, but I've also seen some leak goals. So talk to me as a Burnley fan. How have you found life in the Premier League, man?
I think I was perhaps taken aback by the improvement in quality in just one season being away. We were in the Premier League for 6 consecutive seasons, and we found it. We were able to frustrate bigger sides than us. We were able to get bonus points at some of the big clubs if we could catch them on an off day. When you see the likes of Brighton, Villa, Newcastle, Brentford playing incredible football, which the top powerful 6 were playing maybe just 4 or 5 years ago, that makes it tough. It used to always be the case that 10 wins you would survive. I think it might be slightly more than that now because I think the style of play that we are playing, I don't think we'll get many draws. I think we'll either take an absolute hammering a la Spurs or we'll win games marginally. And it's very difficult to judge though at the moment because we haven't really come up against any of the clubs around us. Or what I don't like the term winnable game because that always sounds really disrespectful, but the more balanced fixtures in the league, the ones where the gulf in class between the sides isn't as vast. We have played City, Villa, Spurs, Forest away and Manchester United. And then we're now going to play Chelsea and Newcastle away with Luton sandwiched in the middle. How horrible. And now, listen, on the flip side, we've got all of those horrible fixtures out of the way, nice and early doors. So let's look on the glass half full there. But when you've only played those teams and some of the lazier pundits in the national media are saying, oh, Burnley, they've struggling start, can't see them surviving. Well, hang on a minute. Can you make that comment in relation to the teams we've played? But what it's left us in is a position where I'm not really sure yet how we're performing in this league. I thought we were really good against Forest. Thought we should have won the game. Although, weirdly, we should have won the game, but actually also a draw was a fair result as well. It was quite a weird balance, that. But I was nervous before the Forest game because that was the first of our more balanced games. And I thought to myself, gosh, if we keep blindly going along saying we'll pick up enough points against the bottom half sides, if we'd have got into that game away at Forest and the gulf in class was massive, then it's kind of game over 5 games in. But we weren't. We competed away from home. And actually a point for us away at Forest is much more valuable than a point at home against Burnley for Forest, and they need to be winning that games if they're going to survive. So I guess I don't really know. That was a waffly answer to. I'm not really sure, Dan. I think you need to judge us once we've got 4 or 5 games into our easier fixtures, see how we perform against those sides, see whether that high press and that passing possession football that Vincent Kompany likes to play is effective against the sides that don't literally crush you without getting out of first gear. So I still think we can survive, but if we survive, it'll be 17th, and I think that's absolutely fine.
There's a lot of people fighting for 17th. Before we let you go, Nat, you've got Everton in the draw. Are you happy?
For the love of God, no. I'm not happy.
Go on, talk to me. Why not? Talk to me. Why not?
It was one of those fixtures. Like, we always draw City away in the cups. Then when that was like, oh great, like we didn't really know what to do when we weren't fit. Like we're going to guarantee to draw City in the cup. And then the East Lancs derby got pulled out, so it was like, oh, okay, it's not going to be the East Lancs derby. And then as soon as Everton at home got pulled out, I just was like, it's going to be it. And straight away, it's the Sean Dyche derby. Now, listen, who knows whether Sean Dyche will still be in a job by the time we play that game. But I just think it's one of those that it's just a really horrible game for both sides. And Sean Dyche, for 10 years at Burnley, just dropped us out of every single cup straight away because he has no time for them. He needs to survive in the league. You can guarantee this will be the one that he pulls out an absolute worldie and all of a sudden they annihilate us. So it's just a matchup. I just don't need that narrative and that whole, I don't know, it just feels, and it's Dyche, for God's sake. Like, yeah, fair enough, his time was up with us, but he's still a legend, for God's sake. He's still Dyche. So, yeah, nothing good can come of that fixture for me at all. Wow. We either get dumped out and it's going to be crap because I don't like getting dumped out of cups, or we dump Everton out and potentially get him under even more pressure to get sacked. How is that a win for anybody? Don't like it. So
yeah, and as Richard said in the chat, it's not just Dyche. Obviously, it's Tarkowski and McNeil as well.
McNeil, yeah. It's like
proper old school for you, man. Proper memories. But I think it'll be a good game. I think both teams will go. In that sense, I think both teams should just go for it. They're both in a position where they should just go for it, and I think that'll be a good game. And plus, whoever you get in the next round, it's going to be a tough team. It's going to be someone I imagine that'll be tough. But big up, man, and stick with Kompany and see what happens. Nats, we'll let you go because I know you got another show. Thanks for jumping on, mate. Always a pleasure.
Bye.
See you next time, mate.
Bye.
Take care, Nats. Dave G, let's come to you, my friend, because Luton have had a strange week. They've got their first point, and they've found themselves against Exeter, and they've got a little bit of confidence. And I thought, they'll be all right against them. They cost me 250 quid because I had them in my acca and everyone else won apart from them. So I was a bit peeved off with Luton, mate. How about you?
Well, firstly, let's address something. Until we won the playoff final, one of the best experience we've ever had at Luton was winning the League Cup final in 1988. I won't remind you who that was against, Dan, but
no, we'll move on from that.
We have 100% record against you at Wembley, which is great. But I was disappointed because after Saturday when we played Wolves, you will get the people that said Luton was still lucky for that game, but I thought we bossed the game, most of it. We had loads of chances, created lots. We had the fortune of getting a penalty through VAR, which put us back on track. But we should have won that game. I don't care what anybody else says. I feel we should have won that game. So you go into that thinking, Exeter next. It's a competition that can only give us more confidence in going forward, score a few goals, and they put a really strong team out, in my view. I mean, 9 of the players that started at Exeter have played in the Premier League since we've been there. They've had a role to play. They've been on that pitch. So you go in there and you're not expecting that, for us to be turned over. We had a high majority of the game. We had most of the shots. We had most of the possession. But we had a massive, as usual, defensive mistake and we let them in. And then you think, why? Why are we not? And really, as Luton Town, I know teams like Luton has existed for a while. And no disrespect to Exeter, we should have put them to bed easily. But we didn't. And good luck to Exeter. I hope they do well. But, we fell into that trap where, in inverted commas, we are a bigger team than them. And we didn't put them away. We didn't take our chance. That was the issue for me. So disappointed that we've lost that momentum. And then given the games we've got coming up, you see in the Cup as well, Everton have had two wins on the bounce. And we're playing them on Saturday. So we could have gone into that with a little bit more We've beaten Wolves. We should have beaten Wolves. We've beaten Exeter, and this is the one that we really do need to win. We've not been in that position this season, and I'm afraid to say it's a disaster to lose to that lower league club, because it just confirms everybody else's belief that Luton are rubbish. That's what they're saying, Luton are rubbish, and we've had that all season. Luton are rubbish. Luton are going to be the worst Premier League team ever, and we sort of just almost proven that point by going there and not putting on a good display. Gutted, because I feel it's really important for a club like mine to do well in that competition, because it can only give us all inspiration and confidence going forward. And we haven't had that yet. We haven't had that little run of results, which is good enough for us. So, and I quite fancied us playing Middlesbrough at home. I think we could have done a job there. But, what could I say? The club took it seriously. They put a strong team out and didn't win. And I think that's the disappointing thing, and not scoring and, creating loads and loads of chances, but not scoring is unforgivable, because we need to get into that level of scoring. We've got 3 this season. 2 have been penalties. It's disappointing. So you'd like to think your strikers would have taken more confidence in another game. But you know what? If you lose the next round, it doesn't matter so much, because, again, when Manchester City are in the league or in the team, you're thinking we're not going to win. Now they're out, you're thinking, well, maybe we could have done better than we thought we could have done. So, yeah, gutted. But, Saturday against Wolves, brilliant. Love VAR, by the way, just to let you know. It was a really good game, and it was what I wanted to see Luton play. And it's just a shame that we didn't get the first couple of goals early, which we deserved. And then we fell to a sucker punch with a poor bit of defending. So, it was very poor, actually, because Lockyer, he got skinned more than once. Eto's finish was really good. But apart from that, I wasn't very impressed with Wolves. But, Wolves to say about us that they weren't very impressed with us because we didn't put the chances away. So Exeter was a point for us to go, look, this is what we can do, and we did nothing. And that's the saddest bit for me. The fact that we're out, were we going to win the trophy? Probably not. But the fact that we're out of it hurts a little bit for me, and especially going into the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to just quickly touch on something with Luton as well, Dave, because I think there's 2 sets of fans at the moment, and I think one of them are being honest, and I think the others are being quite disrespectful. It's only from what I hear. I think there's a certain fan base that go, "Oh, what do you predict? I think Luton will probably go down." I can respect that, because I don't think there's many fans that go, I'm putting Luton 12th. There's not many fans that are going to do that, or even 15th, 14th, right? But I think there are a certain fan base that get very excitable and very much jumping on this. Oh, I think they're going to get 4 points. I don't think they're going to win a game. I think they're going to get through it. Actually, quite disrespectful, really. Just Luton are going to go down is less disrespectful, isn't it? I mean, listen, you're a Luton fan. You might take that as disrespectful as well. But surely when someone predicts Luton to go down, you can hold that. But when someone's saying you're going to be worse than Derby and you're hardly going to get a win, it's like, I just don't get it, man. Talk to me, Dave.
Well, there are the teams, hashtag teams like Luton all last season. You're not good enough to go up. You're not good enough to do this. You've never been good enough. And we've had that all the time. We've had that banter with Nottingham Forest. We've had it with Bournemouth in the past. I know that's happened. But the not going to beat Derby's record, well, you know what? I hope we do real quick, because we can put that one to bed. But
I hope you do as well, Dave.
Yeah, thank you. Sheffield United lost 8-0 at home, but no one said about them, oh, they're not going to beat Derby's record, So is it disrespectful? Well, yeah, of course it is, because every player has played really hard to get to where we are. Realistically, are we going to stay up? It's going to be a really, really tough job. Can we do it? Who knows? But we're going to give it their best shot. But the whole world, really, that's the other thing. The whole way, it's not just local fans, it's the whole world. Luton are rubbish, tin pot. And we've said this before. Can we beat Derby's record? Well, I think we can, and I think we should, and I think we will. But everybody, expecting Luton to get nothing. You're right. Someone did say, I don't even think they're going to win a game. Well, that's harsh. I think we're going to win on Saturday. So hopefully that'll put that one to bed. And then, well, I think we're going to win every week, but I'm never right, am I? But, we need to put that myth to bed, because it is a bit disrespectful. The team have got there on merit. They got there on a really small budget. We're giving it our best shot. And most Luton Town fans are realistic. realistic. We know the size of the job in front of us. We also know that, I've said this before, it secures our club's future. If we go down, there will be a time when we'll be back. We're going to be in a new stadium, and most of that comes from this season. So we're enjoying every ride of it.
Yeah.
But I don't like the vitriol. I don't like all the crap we're getting on social media. So I choose not to reply to it anymore. But I think it's very disrespectful. Derby were super poor this season. They didn't get any points. If we don't get 12, I will be signing off this podcast really, really sad. There's no disrespectful saying we're never going to win a game. That's wrong. And what are they basing it on as well? That's the other thing. What are they basing it on? You bought a championship team. Yeah, fair enough, if that's what you think. You're in a small stadium. But that's about all they know. And it's mostly the armchair fans. Real fans will know what we're going through. Real fans will sit there and go, actually, they're giving it their best shot. And they're not doing it and breaking the bank and making them. We haven't got no big backers. We're not breaking our bank. We're not going to put ourselves in a position where if we get relegated, that we're going to be in trouble and we're going to have to sail off everyone. We've improved the stadium. It's all win-win for us. So have their thoughts, think what they want to think, and judge us in 10 games' time when we've got
big up.
more than 11.
Big up, Dave. No, big up, Dave, and fair play to you, man. And yeah, it's good to see the optimism, and you're still there. And you've got Everton at the weekend, which we'll come into shortly. Dave Asprey, let's come to you, man. I want to just look at the draw for the Carabao Cup before we just touch on Forest quick. I just want to read it out. It got Mansfield versus Port Vale. I couldn't believe that come out for the first two teams.
One of them two's going to win it.
Can you imagine? Ipswich, it's a Mansfield, Port Vale, Ipswich Town, Fulham. Man United, Newcastle, which is a really good draw. Bournemouth versus Liverpool. Sam, I'll get your reaction on that in a minute. Chelsea, Blackburn. West Ham, Arsenal. Everton, Burnley. And Exeter, Middlesbrough. Like for you, Dave, there, who's the team you're looking at now that Manchester City are out? Who are the teams now you think, I kind of fancy them? Sam's pointing at the Bournemouth fans.
To be honest with you, Dan, and I read your mind, mate. I wrote out the draw just before we started while I was trying to fix my AirPods and other pieces of technology. And I look at it and I think that of all those teams in it, the team that has the greatest need to win it is Chelsea. Absolutely. They could get something because they've got nothing going yet. I mean, you talk about Luton Town. All I've seen from Luton Town is honesty, good effort, trying to prove these naysayers wrong, these idle, dismissive, disdainful people proving wrong. Chelsea, where's the joy of Chelsea? There isn't any. No joy whatsoever at Chelsea, not in the stands nor on the pitch, right? Maybe they had a bit last night. I think that Blackburn will really fancy, let's go and get stuck in their throat. Let's go and annoy them. And I think Chelsea have got a problem. But Chelsea, I think their need for this trophy is greater than anybody's. The team I fancy to win it are Newcastle. Because, they came through. I mean, that City supposed second string last night were utterly dominant first half. You couldn't say when Newcastle were going to get anything from the game. And Eddie, with a couple of really canny substitutions, found a way to win it. And I think Newcastle will fancy their chances of going to Old Trafford and getting something. Boy, will their support want to be back in Trafalgar Square again in their multitudes like they were last year. They would love
last year's final, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I think the Newcastle supporters will desperately want it. I think the West Ham Arsenal game is a cracker. The Lawless Potts derby, as I'm now calling it. I think that'll be a really good game. Liverpool, they've got sort of other fish to fry with, Europa League and all that. Why not Bournemouth? I mean, to my way of thinking, the final I want the Port Vale Exeter final. I think that would be wonderful for football. I mean, Vale are 10 minutes down the road from where I live. Mansfield are not that far the other way. And for clubs of that ilk, it's just wonderful. One of them is going to be in a quarter-final. One of them's likely to be in a quarter-final against maybe Newcastle or Manchester United or Liverpool or Bournemouth or West Ham or Arsenal. And it's going to be an amazing. They are desperate. Those three clubs, Mansfield, Vale and Exeter, will be desperate to win it. That's their all at the moment. Okay, Vale are near the top of League One. Stags are the only unbeaten team in the AFL across the divisions. Exeter are up near the top of League One as well. Exeter, let's give credit to Exeter. They got done 9 by Reading last week and they bounced back to beat a Premier League side. So, and this is where the laziness of punditry and reportage just really irritates me. It's like at the weekend, I wanted to see who Phil McNulty, the BBC's chief football writer, went to see. Arsenal and Tottenham, and I'm thinking, go on, Phil, next round, go to Mansfield against Port Vale, but he won't. I'm not bothered about it. Garth Crooks, right, should be stuck in the director's box at Luton Town for their game against Burnley, right? Stick Garth Crooks right in the middle of that, because I tell you what, if Garth Crooks had said it, and actually Garth Crooks has sort of said it about us last year, it's only Nottingham Forest, isn't it? They were a good club in 77, 78, 79, 80, right? We're not bothered. It's almost like they just want to talk about these gigantic, at times beige corporations that are kind of multinational, and they've got no, Luton Town is a community club. Bournemouth is a community club. Crystal Palace in South London is a community club. We're a community club. We're synonymous with our city. Some of these other teams now are synonymous with other countries, right? But I look at that draw and I tell you who are a real danger in there. I think Ipswich Town. Boy, do they play some football and score some goals. They're a super little team.
What a cracker, man. Their winner against Wolves was a stunner.
Oh, yeah. And Kieran McKenna is one of the coming men in football. He will get a big job at some point. What he's done with them is absolutely outstanding. He's a tremendous coach. Middlesbrough, right? They're going to look at it. Michael Carrick's just got his first win. They should be further up the league, although replacing Akpom and Cameron Archie was always going to be a tricky task, right? Everton, all of a sudden, within a week looked dangerous now. I mean, I was coming back from the Etihad last week. We sat in the car and somebody saying to me, Everton are 3-1 up at Brentford. And we were all looking at each other going, well, where's that come from? You know what I mean? So, and then they go and win at Villa. So Everton, it's not great news for Dave. Dyche will be in there saying, lads, you've put 2 real good ones in this week. Why can't you go and do it now against Luton? But again, what Everton have to guard against with Luton, and I'm already guarding against it with when Luton come to us October 21st, and Dave's point is, don't get ahead of yourselves. When you start thinking, I mean, we've had some really good performances away from home, right, against these big guns. I'm really nervous about Sunday against Brentford. I'm also nervous because Brentford have now lost, I think, 3 on the bounce. And we'll either find out whether Brentford's bubble has burst to an extent or it was just a blip. And I think Brentford, some of our lot, as they do, will write Brentford off. I'm not. They're a great club. They're a level above us at the moment, Brentford. So that draw is to me is really interesting. But, but I think, like I say, to answer your question and answer the question you posed at the start in the title caption of this podcast, Dan, I think Chelsea need it more than anything. Boy, Chelsea needs something, anything. The team I think that I think the romantic notion is for Newcastle to win it. But I mean, Manchester United, they need it as well. I mean, I had to say the most disappointing thing of the week for me was Crystal Palace there. I thought Palace would give United a good game. And I don't know if Palace just decided on the night they couldn't be bothered. But I tell you one thing, Palace will play far better this weekend against them than they did on Tuesday night. Because I'd like to think Royals kick them up their backsides, really, So, yeah, it's a fascinating draw, mate, to be honest.
It is, man. Sam, you've got Liverpool. If I had to pick a team, I probably would pick them to win it because I think they'll take it a little bit more seriously than Arsenal. I just don't think Arteta's ever taken the Cup seriously in his evidence of the last few years, which is why I'm not going to say Arsenal will win it. Do you fancy yourselves against them? Could you go through? And do you care? Because earlier on you were saying it's more about the Premier League.
I think the further you get in the competition, the more you start caring. At the start, you're not really bothered. Then all of a sudden, you find yourself, oh, hang on, we're only 2 games from Wembley, and we found ourselves in the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup twice, and we played Chelsea once, and then Liverpool. I mean, we lost them both, so we've never been further than that. But when you get to that stage, you start thinking, these things, but. Yeah, I mean it's not a priority. If you put league points in front of me, I'll take them over a cup run. I think maybe in a couple of seasons, if we are still Premier League, I'll maybe put more emphasis on the cup. But certainly a cup is more enjoyable for sure, and you get more satisfaction out of a decent cup run. And I've always said that in football, the journey is better than the destination. Like, when we got promoted from the Championship, absolutely loved it. And now we're in the Premier League. You think every weekend will be great. It's not. It's not. There are some real crap weekends, and there's even times where we've scraped a 1-0 win. I don't feel that buzz that I did sort of 2 seasons ago. It's a weird thing, but I think a club like us, once we're more established, I would certainly take it. Can we get anything against Liverpool? Last season at home we did 1-0 in the league, so it can be done. This season I think they are a better outfit though, and maybe that maybe they'll be having their focuses elsewhere. I don't know. I'm not expecting much. It's possibly one of the worst draws we could have got, because we were romantically looking at playing away at Exeter, which is only like 90 minutes down the road. We were looking at other clubs thinking, tell you what, it'd be tasty to have them. But like you say, when that first draw came out, Port Vale Mansfield, I thought, oh, here we go. We probably get Newcastle away on a Tuesday night or something like that. And then, home draw, you're thinking, all right, here we go. And then Liverpool draw. And so yeah, highs and lows.
Yeah, man, there is. I can't lie. Let me ask you think it's going to win it before I get some predictions for this weekend. D, I think Liverpool probably go and do it now. D, what are you saying?
Yeah, I think Liverpool, Chelsea will be interesting to watch as well, because of the reasons that we said that they need to do something this year, especially spending that kind of money. So yeah, I think those three, and we'll see how Newcastle do as well in the next round. I think they got United, so away from home. If they beat United, then that's another team to look out for, because yes, they're in the Champions League, and of course they want to do well in the Premier League, but they need to start somewhere. And I think a lot of Newcastle fans will be very happy if they won the Carabao Cup. So for me, it'll be them 3 teams. Of course, Arsenal and the other team, like for example, a team like Arsenal, they will be up there. But then again, we don't know how Arteta will prioritize it come next round. We don't know the injury situation, the fixtures, how well you'll be doing in the Champions League group stages. So it all depends on your circumstances. But for me, I think those 3 teams will go for it. Especially, I'm interested to see what Newcastle will do this year. They were very close. So I think they'll have a nice run at it again. And I think they're one of the teams to look forward to in terms of, potentially winning it. Underdogs.
Fair play, man. Fair play. Sam, who would you go for if you had to pick one?
I think, between Liverpool and Newcastle, I can't see past Liverpool really, especially because if Liverpool and Newcastle meet, Klopp's got Eddie Howe's number in that regard. So yeah, probably Liverpool.
Dave, let's go for Dave Gregory first.
I'd rather an underdog win it. Really, I'd rather someone who wouldn't normally get that satisfaction. We just talked about why the big clubs don't want to do it. Are we happy to sit here and just finish mid-table all year and have no glory? I'd rather one of the underdogs win it. So, realistically, though, Liverpool or Newcastle, in my view, but I'd rather someone else win it. I'd rather Ipswich win it or Fulham.
Yeah, I want Ipswich to win it if Arsenal don't win it.
That happened, but realistically, will that happen? No, because like Sam said, when the bigger clubs get closer to Wembley, they put their stronger sides out and they can negate that. And you've only got to look back at the cups for the last few years and you can see that happens all the time. So I'd love an underdog, but realistically, I'm going to think Newcastle, maybe Liverpool.
Dave?
I think Newcastle will win it. I hope Newcastle win it. I think Sam's point about Liverpool, that forward line of Liverpool's is really beginning to sort of gather momentum, and Szoboszlai looks a really good player. I think they are, no disrespect to those, they are the biggest threat to City in the league now. But I'm with Dave Gregory in that, like, it wouldn't be lovely to see Fulham or Ipswich or Cherries or Everton, Burnley, something like that. I mean, you look at a team like Burnley, and to return to the theme that you lads started with earlier about whether this cup matters or not. We went to the semi-final of it last year, and we garnered so much positivity and if you like, momentum from going to the semi-final. Okay, we were outclassed in the semi-final, home and away by United, but we used it as a little bit of a platform for the serious, the serious business of the league. We did it the year before in the Championship when we were like gathering momentum. We had a run in the FA Cup. To we beat Arsenal, we beat Leicester, who were the holders. We had our hardest game was Huddersfield at home. We got through that, and then we lost to Liverpool. And Steve Cooper used it, and he played strong teams, and he almost brought back to life this Clough truism that every game mattered. Clough used to say, "I just want to win everything, me," and Steve Cooper used that. And I think Rob Edwards should use it. I think Paul Eckenbottom should use it, or whatever. Vincent, I'm sure, will want to beat Everton because teams of our ilk, and I include Forest in with those teams, we want to get it from wherever we can get it. And I tell you, I go back to Steve was interviewed the night we lost to Burnley, and the local we've got a brilliant local radio commentator called Colin Frey who always speaks to Steve after the games, and he said, well, the priority lies elsewhere, and Steve Cooper went, no, this was my priority, and Steve Cooper was visibly irritated by the tone of the question. So I think Sam's point is absolutely right. The further towards it, I always think the big guns and the teams like only really get serious at the quarterfinal stage. Then you see first choice teams coming out, and really when you get to the bottom of it all, the fundamental thing in football that everybody's aiming for, it's why Harry Kane's left Tottenham to go to Bayern Munich, is that little bit of silverware. I watched Rico Lewis. He's a kid. What a smashing player he's already. What a great player he's going to be. He's got a treble. He's got medals at home, and that's what he'll show his kids and his grandkids as he gets older. So me personally, I get for Forest, if I see Steve picking a weaker team, I get a bit, no, mate, go for it, because look at West Ham when they won that European Cup Winners' Shield vase thing, right? They were ecstatic. They had the biggest parade in the East End since like VE Day in '45. You know what I mean? Huge, cockles and jellied eels and all sorts all over the place in the East End. And I let me tell you, I watched that game as I watched League Cup finals and all, and we've won 4 of those things. It's all around the City Ground, 4 League Cup wins. You know what I mean? 79, 80, 89, 90. One of them we beat. Sorry, Dave, you know who? So it matters. And I was watching some of this Carabao last night thinking, God, I wish we were still in it. So I think there's a great deal of importance. But then, the big corporations at the top might not think like little Dave Asprey and his little local community, But I think it's a Newcastle, Liverpool. It's between those two, really.
Fair play, man. Fair play. D, moving to you, the weekend. Can you get revenge?
I'll be honest. First of all, this might sound salty, but genuinely, it's nothing about that. But Man United fans, after that game, I think we gave them a very false hope. Like the way they were raving on about, oh look, the style of football, everything's great. Palace were just shocking. We were shocking by a whole different level. And I'll be honest, like watching the second half, I wouldn't even class as shocking. I wasn't even class as watching it because I was just turned off, like literally. I spoke to even a Man United fan, and he even said like after the third goal, I kind of switched off because it was that type of game. It was boring. I was more frustrated about Palace's efforts. I thought we would have tried a bit more than what we've done. We respected Man United an awful lot. Man United haven't beat us, 3-0 in a long time. I mean, the previous results at Old Trafford, they only beat us 2-1. Then they drew 1-1 at Palace. We only lost to them narrowly 1-0. Then they beat us 1-0 again. It was 0-0. 3-1s don't really happen. We beat them 3-1 at their ground. 3-0, well, 3-1 and at their ground in like 2020. I think that was under Roy Hodgson. So, look, the positive that I can take from this game is that we're going to expect a reaction from it because it was utterly embarrassing and shocking to watch as a Palace fan, regardless of who the opponents are. I don't think Man United have been that great this season. And we gave them this hope that we approach the game as they are big Man United and we have to be worried about them. Of course, they've got great talent and they've got a better squad than us, a better manager than us. But this was the perfect opportunity to get Man United and we simply didn't do that. So at home, away from home again, at Old Trafford, I'm 100% expecting a reaction. There's no way we're going to, suffer another 3-0 defeat. I put my body on line here, but there isn't. I would hope that the professional players they'll come because we had a rotated squad. Rob Holding made his debut. For Palace, Chris Richards played. Dean Henderson, he got subbed off after like 20 minutes because he got injury from kicking the ball, which is baffling. When you're a goalkeeper, if you get injured by kicking the ball, that's a bit worrying. I think Dave can say that. I think that's why Forest didn't want to sign him, because of something about his medical in the past. And you know, we had Raksaki that started, who probably won't start this game. So we didn't go with our strongest 11.
Rob Holding at the back, man. That's what I told you. I warned you about Rob Holding at the back. I'm joking.
But he's sitting on our bench. That's not our starting 11. Gay and Anderson. This was our rotated squad, and that's what I'm saying. I was not surprised, because of course, if my team won in the manner that they did, I was a bit surprised about the reaction, the overreaction from Man United fans, acting like they're back. They might be back because we gave them the confidence which they might have needed all season long, and our team has given them. But it's going to be interesting to see what we do and what they do on Saturday, when we're going to expect something, in terms of, the players going out there, putting their bodies on the line and actually trying, and they're going to try replicate the same performance. Now, let's see how it happens. I still think Man United are 100% the favourites going into the game, but I don't expect it to be as easy as it was on Tuesday night, because that was just embarrassing.
Fair play, man. I'm going to ask you for a prediction. I'm going to go 2-2. I think Palace will get a draw, man. What are you saying, D?
You know what? They're favourites, as I said, but I'm going for 1-0. I'm expecting us to be way better defensively. And even players like Jordan Ayew, who's been very good at tracking back and has had a very good start to the season, he just wasn't switched on. And there's a lot of times he didn't help Tyreek Mitchell. And I expect him to be, switched on in this game, which he wasn't against Man United. A lot of players were just fatigued, rotated the squad. So I'm expecting a bit of a reaction. So I'm going for 1-0. It won't be easy. It can easily be like 2-0, 2-1 Man United as well. But I'm expecting Man United to be a bit more complacent after that performance. And I think naturally there will be. I don't care how good of a manager Ten Hag is, because that was piss easy for them. And I feel like Palace could shock them. Saying that, I won't be surprised if Man United win, but I'm going to go for 1-0. Why not?
Fair play, man. Fair play. I just don't think Man United are great. I'm sorry. I don't think Man United are great. So
look, we're missing Elise, Francois.
Yeah, where's Elise, man? So King Oddle's in the chat asking where is Elise. I don't know where.
After October international break, he'll be back. He had this injury, which he had a minor step back from it, and he was meant to come back. To be fair, I think this week or week before, but he had a setback, and so he's out for a bit longer. We've got Matthias Francois that no one's seen yet. He should be back after the October international break. Right now, it's all about survival. And that's why a lot of people are pissed off with the owners at the club, because we just simply don't have a squad. I'm sorry. I mean, yes, you can have Rob Holder and Chris Richards in defense, but Nathaniel Klein, jeez Louise. You're playing Nathaniel Klein in 2023. You deserve to lose. I mean, like, I love Klein to bits. He came from my academy, but we're in 2023 going into 2024, and we still haven't replaced Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who we sold 4 years ago. And our second option to Joel Ward is Nathaniel Klein. You can argue our first option, how many teams would Joel Ward get into? I think roughly 0 or 1 in terms of right back position. So we that's, and I would expect from our backup option. He's bang average championship player now, Nathaniel Klein, and 2 of the goals came from his fault, so he won't be at the game as well. But that's what I'm saying. We have injuries. We haven't strengthened the squad to the levels that we should be doing, especially after what Roy done in the last 10 games. But we do have a first 11. We do have a decent, solid 11 when everyone's fit. But right now, the injuries are racking up, and I think that's why we saw the struggle that we saw against United. They, with a weaker squad, saying that there was 1 or 2, still first-team players in that.
Fair play, man. Sam, I'm going to leave you to last for obvious reasons. Dave, let's come to you next. Dave Gregory, you thought that, I think you said earlier, you think you're going to get your win. It's at Goodison Park. I love the optimism. Talk to me.
You've got to stay optimistic. If you don't, you're not enjoying yourself. And I have to do that. And I would put it as the best placed team that has been promoted this season from last season. We're top of the 3 that come up. I'm hoping we can build on that. Obviously, we're very lucky to be where we are given the result at Sheffield United. Why not? Why can't we? I would have liked to have played Everton 3 weeks ago rather than now. They're on that little run. So I'm hopeful that we can go and put a good display in. Realistically, again, I think it's going to be difficult for us. I don't know what Everton are going to turn up on Saturday. I'm hoping it's one from 3 weeks ago. So I'm really going to keep my fingers crossed and say, we're going to nick a win. And we're going to nick a win last minute, 1-0. That'll do me. It'll be a pleasant trip home then. but I'm under no
Absolutely.
illusions. I'm under no illusions.
I love the optimism, man. I love the optimism.
we got Burnley on Tuesday night. That's the one that we really need to deal with and win. But if we can get some points out of Everton, brilliant. If we don't, we'll go again. I'm going to have a good trip. That's all I can tell you.
Would you take 2 points from both now if I can give you it?
I'd rather have 4.
Okay, that's fair.
I'd rather have 4. If I could get a draw at Everton and win at home, I'd love it. If we lose at Everton, we must win at home against Burnley. 2 is not enough. 2 is not enough to take us above Bournemouth or Wolves or Everton or even Chelsea at this stage. So,
Hey.
what I can take from this is I think we can be in the game. We'll play some good football. Hopefully, we'll take our chances. But again, no illusion. Everton on a roll right now. So you've got to expect they're going to come out real strong because they're playing Little Luton, obviously. And but I'm going to be optimistic, and I'm going to be optimistic every time you ask me about Luton Town. I'm going to tell you we're going to get. If it's not this week, it'll be Tuesday. If it's not Tuesday, it'll be the following Saturday. That's how I'm going to look at it. So I'm going to go with a really sly 1-0 late win, and I will be ecstatic if that happens.
Fair play to you, Dave. I hope you can do it, man. Dave Asprey got Brentford at home at the City Ground. What are you saying? Prediction?
It's going to be tight. I know that. It's almost like both teams, you can't really say for sure where they're sort of standing at the moment. I mean, you know, we've like just come out of the Etihad actually after being completely marmalised for like 40 minutes of some of the best football I've ever seen in my life from any team, to then coming away from there thinking, well, you know what, in a way that was an opportunity missed. I mean, we apart from the Haaland volley over, which Foden had to set up on his own, Forest dominated the second half. I know it's 11 against 10, but it's still the 10 of the, you know, the greatest team on earth in my view. And we played some good football in trying to break them down. Actually, we just missed that cutting edge. You know, we picked up a really good lad from Bologna in Dominguez, who I thought was our best player last week. So I just don't know how good we really are, to be honest, at the moment. I mean, we've had our away performances have been pretty encouraging. Our home performances haven't been great, and yet we've got 4 points at home. We're unbeaten at home. I'm not sure about Forest. And in the same way, I'm not sure about Brentford, because are Brentford just about, are they right in the middle of their first little hiccup? You know, they've been on this fantastic trajectory since they got in, especially when they got Ericsson and whatever. And then last season, they were tremendous. I mean, for hell's teeth, they beat City home and away last year, Brentford did. Yeah. And then to see Brentford, they weren't fantastic at Newcastle in actually, I mean, Newcastle ground that out. It wasn't a fantastic game by either team, but Newcastle got the win. I expected Brentford to put Newcastle under more stress. They were pretty woke. That is the worst Brentford performance against Everton at the weekend since Brentford got promoted by a mile. Absolutely the worst Brentford performance. Then they lose to Arsenal in the Carabao. And I'm thinking, I really don't know about either team. I don't know about my own. You know, I can't sort my own family out. This family that's coming to visit us on Sunday, I just don't know. Objectively, I'm thinking it's likely to be a draw. I'm going to be Dave Asprey Gregory, because I'm going to say Forest is going to win. But if we're going to win, it's going to be 1-0 or 2-0, because I just don't know. What worries me is some of ours are thinking, oh, Brentford have lost now 3 on the bounce in all competitions. We just had a creditable defeat at the Etihad, where after 16 minutes, I thought we're looking at like what happened to Sheffield United, who now are officially the worst team in this division, who were appalling. And basically, Sheffield United said to their fans, we're not bothered anymore. They just gave up, right? I literally gave up. Luton didn't give up. Burnley won't give up. Everton won't give up. Bournemouth won't give up. Forest won't be allowed to give up, right? You know, so it's just, I just don't know. But I'm gonna say Forest to win 1-0. But I'm wary of some of ours thinking that, you know, oh, this is a good time to play Brentford, because I'm telling you now, I've still got the scars across my body of Bournemouth and Fulham at home in September last year, where there was so much complacency on the riverbank. Yeah. It really irritated me, and I'm not having it again. I think our hardest game's coming up. I mean, I've heard somebody on the podcast say, well, we're into fixtures now that are more defining for us. So, you know, Brentford at home, Palace away, and Luton away. And I'm thinking, no, far harder, all 3, than going to Anfield the week after we play Luton. These 3 are hard. I think Forest's hardest games are Sheffield United, Burnley, Luton, Palace, Brentford, Bournemouth. Teams of that ilk. Sheffield United. Those are much more difficult to me because where we are now, we're in this sort of hinterland where people are starting to think, well, Forest should be winning that, whereas last year they didn't. So it's a game that I have trepidation about because I'm not complacent. I'd really like Forest to unfurl the back four and let Hudson-Odoi and Elanga and Dominguez and Morgan and Taiwo go and do their stuff and play with some freedom. But I'm not sure we're able to do that yet. We for half an hour against Burnley, it looked like we were going to blow the doors off. And then Burnley for the last hour of that game were by far the better team and actually should have beaten us. So I just don't know, Dan. I tell you what, head says draw. The love of my club and this big beating heart that, like, is Gary Baldy read throughout, says a Forest 1-0 or a 2-1. But it won't be spectacular.
Nice, man. I fancy Forest. I'm going to go 2-1 Forest. I think Brentford
you as well.
not quite up to it at the moment, Brentford. I think they're missing a certain Ivan Toney, in my opinion. But there we go. Sam, it's happening, mate. It's me v you at the weekend. We did a preview earlier. If you haven't checked it out, people, make sure you do go over to Back of the Net podcast. It is out now. Me and Sam talking about the preview show for this game. And I've told you my prediction. I thought that we would win 2-0. I think that we'll keep it tight. I think the 5 at the back that we have are probably the only strongest 5 we've got in the team for certain. The rest of our injury problems might do Bournemouth some favours. How do you see this one going, mate? And what do you think the score will be?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to have a good day. You've got to have a bad day. We've got to have everyone firing. We've got to have Dom Solanke fit. We've got to have the crowd behind us. There are so many factors that come into play that have to all tessellate and align for us to get a result against Arsenal. I think the way we play probably is, I think it's conducive to Arsenal fans being very optimistic because we can be very open. But that said, with our overlapping fullbacks and the way we do like to attack, maybe we can pose a problem because I think Bournemouth's downfall when we play the big 6, top 6, is that we're always too passive. I don't think we will be as passive, but you got to, so I think it could then just come down to the fact that you've got 11v11 playing very similar formations who are technically better. It's Arsenal. So it's going to be tighter than most games. I think it'll be a bit chaotic. I can imagine. I think we'll pose you some threats, but realistically, probably not enough. On our preview that we're putting out tomorrow, I think I'm going to say a draw, but realistically, we're probably a narrow defeat, 2-1, something like that.
Interesting, man. Just before we do wrap up, Yusuf, regular listener, big up Yusuf, big Liverpool fan. So, Sam, what's Iraola's philosophy and what's your style of play?
Chaotic football. He kind of badges it as organised chaos, rock and roll football. It's a bit harem-scarum. You score 4, we'll score 5. It's very, very akin to what Eddie Howe football was kind of like, really. It's none of this sort of negative stuff that we saw last season. If you see us, go 2-0 up, like Wolves were, for instance, the other night, you won't see us losing 3-2. I can't believe that, by the way. But yeah, you'll probably see us go and score 3 or 4. That's kind of what he wants to do. But we certainly aren't a low block side, put it that way. So that kind of concerns me a little bit when we play certain teams because we are open and expansive. But yeah, it's entertaining, and as Bournemouth fans, as long as we stay up, we're happy with entertaining football. But as long as we just see that slow improvement season on season, we'll be happy.
Fair play, man. Fair play. Listen, I hope we obviously can do it. The Arsenal weekend. I do love going to Bournemouth. Unfortunately, I'm not got a ticket, but I do love going to your ground. I think it's class. But But we will definitely catch up afterwards, Sam, and have a chat about the
sure.
game, I'm sure. Before we wrap up, make sure you do us a favour and smash a like and subscribe. Thank you so much this week for getting us to 12K. Absolutely fantastic from you guys. It really is so much appreciated that. Dee, I want to ask you before we close really quickly, just one word answer. Saw a brilliant question today. Which London club is going to finish lowest in the league this season? I wanted to ask you who you think that would be. Do you know who won it? Do you know what the vote said? Chelsea. What? Honestly,
Chelsea.
The vote was Chelsea.
Nah, man, surely not.
Feasible. Feasible.
Surely not. Yeah, probably, I think Fulham.
Fulham.
I hope so, because for my sake, because I made a £500 bet with my barber that Fulham won't have a good.
It's not Ivan Toney, is it?
that Fulham won't have a good as season as they had last season. So I'm hoping that Fulham finish like below top 10, because I think they finished 10th last year. So every game that Fulham play, they need another defeat. So I think Fulham. We'll see where Palace are as well with a strong 11. We haven't had a strong 11, and we ain't done too badly with our injuries as well. So yeah, between Fulham, Palace, and West Ham, I think Fulham.
Wow.
It'll be easy to say Palace right now because we lost 3-0 to Man United, but before the international break, I know we drew against Fulham as well, 0-0. That was a dull game, but majority of our games so far this season, I've been surprised. I've been actually happy with the results. Like, we've had some decent results. I just want to see Palace with a strong 11. I just need to see Elise back, because we lost Zaha on top of that as well. And Lerma, geez, I forgot about Lerma's out injured as well. So, we've had so many key players out injured. That's why I just can't wait till the October international break. I haven't looked forward to an international break as much as this one. So we just have to survive United, survive Forest. And then, that international break is going to come so good, hopefully.
Oh, that was a long one-word answer, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was
welcome to D World, David. I'm not one to talk either.
I learned from Dave.
Yeah. Dave and D, we double up, don't we, mate? Me and Dave and D.
Yeah, exactly. I'm learning from you, Dave.
It was quite funny to see out of these clubs, who do you think will come lowest? And I actually went Fulham out of the clubs listed, and I couldn't believe it. Everyone said Chelsea. I thought, wow.
Who said that?
What do you mean? Who said it?
Like who? Oh, like, was it?
No, it was a poll. It was a poll. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think that's from Krakow, Warsaw. Where?
I don't think Chelsea finished. I think that's just like taking a piss out of Chelsea. That's more about taking a piss out of Chelsea. Realistically, like, sooner rather than later, they'll start scoring goals and they'll push up the table at some point. They can't.
Yeah, I agree.
They can't finish Fulham and all these other teams. They just can't. I just refuse to believe that.
I agree, man. I agree. We're going to leave it there, people. Thank you so much. Absolute pleasure. Make sure you always do us a favor. Like and subscribe to this, and make sure you go follow all of these guys. We're going to have D Palace at Back of the Nest, Dave Asprey, Owen the Town over at Dave Gregory's podcast, and of course Sam at the Back of the Net podcast, not Back of the Nest, but if you go follow both, that'd be great. We'll catch up very, very soon. Make sure you all have a great weekend. I'll be back tomorrow with Tobes and Lawless for a show, so make sure you don't miss that, because that one's going to be very, very heated as ever. And we will see you next time. Take it easy, people. We're out of here. Laters.